to show you just a few simple things you can do on guitar to make E standard tuning sound a little heavier. In fact, if you play some of the stuff I'm going to show you in this lesson, some people might think that you're down tuned or maybe even playing a 7-string guitar. We're going to go over that. I'm going to play the chorus of a song that I wrote called Higher Purpose off my latest album, Overcometh, because I use these tactics in that song, especially the chorus, and that's what we're going to learn here. It's really just some simple power chords, but there are just a few small changes that we make to these power chords to make them sound a little heavier. Now, if you're on my Patreon, you have the tabs and the backing tracks for this lesson here. Make sure you download those. You know I give you the full mix track along with just the bass and drums so you can play along with. And like always, I encourage you to kind of branch out and see what you can come up with. We always talk more about that at the end. On that note, stay tuned for the guitar chat at the end of the lesson. I've got some cool stuff to share with you, especially regarding the tone that you're hearing back here. Same amp I've had for a while, but I'm just using a different setting, so I'll talk more about that at the end here. All right, let's jump into this. I'm going to play it out in the open, then we'll break everything down. So we start out with a B power chord. Again, I'm in E standard tuning, nothing special going on here. But the B power chord, we would normally play that, of course, the A and D strings 2 and 4, frets 2 and 4, and it would sound like this. Which, that's not a bad sound. That's a pretty cool sound, right? But I'm doing one small little thing here. I want you to hear the difference between that B power chord and the way that I'm playing it in this specific song. Kind of sounded like a 7-string almost there. All we're doing is we're just adding one extra note to that. So we're playing the B power chord, but here on the A string 2nd fret, I'm using that first finger to also bar the 2nd fret of the E string. What that does, it gives you that lower octave of the next note of the power chord. So you've got A and D strings 2 and 4. Well, where your 4th fret of the D string, where your pinky finger is, or some of you use that finger, doesn't really matter, use what feels comfortable, right? I just play it like this, but I'm just playing that lower octave of that note. Now that's called the 5th note, okay? We're not going too deep into theory here or anything, but you're just playing the lower octave of that, so it's the same note that you're ending with. So again, it gives you the sound right here. I want to show you one more thing you can do with that, but let's move on through the other chords. There are only 4 chords in this progression. Again, this is the chorus of Higher Purpose off my album Overcometh. And next we're going to an F sharp. So this is a pretty simple change. We've got the B power chord, right? And of course we're barring that note up there. So I'm just going to keep my first finger on the 2nd fret of the E string. I'm just going to move my pinky finger over one more to the 4th fret of the A string. So you're going to get this sound here. I'm going to do one more little thing though, and I'll play it for you here. Now, a lot of you, and I sometimes do this as well, will play the power chord with your 1st and your 3rd finger, and naturally what that will do is free the pinky finger up to do this. I would play it that way if I were doing some sort of riffing like... But we're not doing that in this particular song. This song is more of kind of like a melodic kind of, I don't want to say melancholy. That's probably, I'm trying to describe my own song here. It's just not working, but it's just more of a smooth power chord driven chorus, okay? I wanted the lyrics to really shine more in this part, so I kind of let the guitars just hold that rhythm down, if that makes sense. We're getting into a little songwriting here, but I think like that as I'm writing. If I want something to be highlighted, then the other instruments might back off or just kind of hold it down, if that makes sense. Back to the lesson. So the chord we play after that is going to be a G power chord, but we're going to play a variation of that power chord. Now, if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you know very rarely do I just play power chords, and there's nothing wrong with power chords, but I like to just give it a little bit of variety because you just get some really cool textures out of changing that second note of the power chord, which is what we're doing here, okay? So the G power chord, you're going to move that up, frets 3 and 5 on the E and A string, right? But I'm going to play 3, 4, then 3, 5, okay? Like this. Lastly, I'm going to move up, play one more power chord here, going to play an A power chord. Now, I'm going to play this a little differently as well. So instead of 5 and 7, well, I'm going to go 5, 4, 5, 5, and then back to 5, 4. So it's going to sound like this. Now, real quick, the second time around, I go through the entire progression, but on the final A power chord there, I play it just a little different. Instead of 5, 4, and 5, 5, back to 5, 4, I go 5, 5, barring that 5th fret on the E and A string, 5, 5 to 5, 7. So I end like this. Let's go through the progression one more time and play along with me here. Now I've got to show you one more thing, but to me, the variation of the power chords makes it sound just a little heavier. Along with starting out, we kind of start right out of the gate with that super heavy chord there, playing that B power chord with the octave lower of that 5th note. So that sets the tone, no pun intended, well you know the pun's always intended, but that sort of sets the heaviness of the tone there for the song, for the rest of what you're about to hear. If I just played regular power chords, it would sound like this. Nothing wrong with that, and you really have to determine what you want for your song if you're writing your own riffs, which I encourage you to do. What are you looking for? What are you hearing? And just mimic that on the guitar. For this particular song, I was hearing something a little lower, right? So I wanted to play that heavy B power chord, and I wanted a little bit of movement. I wanted a little bit more, just more stuff going on, subtle movement throughout the progression. So I do this instead. Now what I'll say is, with that, I'm also playing the 5-string bass. So when I play that B power chord the special way there, I've got a 5-string bass hitting that low B note. So that helps, gives it some push as well. One more thing I want to show you, and then we'll get to our guitar and tone chat here. So that first power chord I showed you, when we're barring that 1st string, the E string, you can play that anywhere on the fretboard, obviously, right? You can play that anywhere and just get that sound. So it's just something to play around with, something to think about. And I do that sometimes. There's another progression I have. I'll show you this real quick, and then we'll get to the guitar and tone chat. But there's another song on the album Overcometh. By the way, if you have not listened to my album yet, Overcometh, check it out. I've got links, of course, in the description to that album. But you can just type in my name, Jason Stallworth, then type in Overcometh, and you'll see the album out there. It's on all the platforms. I've got CDs available on my shop now. Those are out, so do check that out. I appreciate the support on that. But anyway, so there's another progression. I'll show you this real quick, where I'm playing like an E power chord, G, then go into a C, but I play the C the heavy way, like this, right? See what I did there? So after the G power chord, I just really moved my pinky over one string, right? And I kept this first finger barring those notes down there. So you see right here, the G power chord, E and A strings, 3 and 5, right? But then we move it over and we're playing 3 strings instead of 2 strings. We're barring the first 2 strings, keeping that first string on the 5th fret, E and A string, move the pinky over to the 3rd fret there, move the pinky finger over to the 5th fret, D string again. Those are real close together, and of course you could do that on other notes too. Alright, guitar chat time, but real quick, if you don't have my free practice guide called Metal Riffs and Licks, grab a copy of that. There's a link in the description of this video here. Pause this video and go grab a copy of that, or after the video, just grab a copy of that. That has helped literally thousands of guitar players on my YouTube channel here, and I give that away free to all my YouTube subscribers here. So thank you guys again for the support. If you have that guide already, but you don't have one of my online guitar courses, check those out. I've got links for all that good stuff in the description of this video. So the first thing I want to show you real quick is just what channel I'm using on the Blackstar amp. You guys know I have the HT Venue MK3 by Blackstar here, and normally I use their OD2, so there's 2 overdrive channels. You know, a lot of the high gain amps will have 2 overdrive channels. They'll have your scorching fire gain, which is the red channel. Well, there's like a little red button down there here. And then you've got your other gain that doesn't quite have all that push, and that can be used for just more of a classic style, I guess. In my opinion, you can use really any tone for any style, any subgenre. Why not? You know, why not do something a little different? So in this case, I'm just playing around with the Overdrive 1 instead of the Overdrive 2. Now the caveat here is I do have my my MXR classic distortion pedal. I'm using that as my OD pedal. So let me just let you hear a couple of tones. And I'm just filming this out here. I've got a Rode mic up here, just filming this out in the open. I'm not recording this direct or anything. So this is what you're hearing, okay? Right, so that's with the gain. You can see it on screen there. It's probably around 8 or something like that, right? I've got the voice on. You've got this voice switch. If I turn it off, it kind of just decreases just a little bit. This is with it off. The volume on that is super low because I've got it on the 10 watt setting, and that's a 100 watt setting. So just because we're in a small room here. But if I turn the voice back on, we're back to this sound here. Now, if I turn my overdrive pedal off here, I just want you to hear the real amp real quick here. So, turning the overdrive pedal off, this is just the true amp, right? So it's, of course, it's not as metally there, if you will. Now, if I back the gain off a little more on this amp, let's just back it down to, like, you know, straight up the middle here. Get a really cool tone. And if I turn the voicing off, and I've got another video on this amplifier. If I turn the voicing off, it's even kind of like, let me turn the volume up a little bit here. Actually, I'll put it on the 100-watt setting. Anyway, I'm just noodling and messing around, so it's kind of like, you know, you and I are in the room jamming together here, which, hey, is fun. On that note, if you want to check out the Blackstar MK3 amp, I've got a video on that. Just go check that out right here. And if you'd like for me to maybe make a whole video on that channel, just going over just a little bit lighter touch, some classic tones there, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching my channel. Thanks for the support. Keep it metal and keep playing music.